Victor Ademola had built his fortune on attention to detail. As the founder of Ademola Luxury Hotels, one of Nigeria's most successful hospitality chains, he trained himself to notice things others missed. A wrinkle in a tablecloth, a crack in marble, anything that threatened the perfection his brand represented. But on this particular Saturday afternoon in Lagos, Victor wasn't thinking about hotels. He was thinking about his 13-year-old daughter, Sophia, who'd become increasingly distant over the past year. Ever since her mother, Victor's ex-wife Catherine, had moved to London with her new husband, Sophia had retreated into a world of designer clothes, expensive gadgets, and an attitude that made Victor's staff walk on eggshells. Victor pulled his Mercedes into the driveway of his Banana Island mansion, exhausted from a morning of back-to-back meetings. He'd promised Sophia they'd spend the afternoon together, maybe visit the Palm shopping mall or catch a movie. Anything to bridge the growing gap between them. As he approached the house, Victor heard something unexpected: laughter. Not the sarcastic, biting laugh that Sophia had perfected, but genuine, joyful laughter that reminded him of the little girl she used to be. Following the sound, Victor walked around to the side of the house where Sophia's private study room overlooked the garden. Through the window he saw something that made him stop dead in his tracks. Sophia sat at her desk, but she wasn't alone. Beside her was a girl, maybe 15 or 16, wearing clothes so worn and patched that Victor could see the repairs from where he stood. Her hair was braided simply and her feet were bare. She was pointing at something in Sophia's mathematics textbook, explaining something with animated hand gestures. But what shocked Victor most was Sophia's expression. His daughter was listening, actually listening, with a focus and engagement he hadn't seen from her in months. She was taking notes, asking questions, and when the older girl said something encouraging, Sophia's face lit up with a smile that squeezed Victor's heart. Who was this girl? And what was she doing in his house? Victor's first instinct was protective anger. A stranger had somehow gotten past his security, gotten close to his daughter. But something made him pause before barging in. The scene through the window had a quality he couldn't quite name. Something genuine, something Sophia needed. So instead of interrupting, Victor did something unusual for a man who prided himself on control. He waited and watched. The girl, whose name Victor would soon learn was Faith, had a teaching style unlike anything he'd seen. She didn't just explain the mathematics problems, she made them into stories. Okay, so imagine you're buying fabric at Balogun Market, Faith was saying, her voice clear through the slightly open window. The woman selling tells you it's 500 naira per yard, but you need 12 yards. How much will you spend? That's easy, Sophia said. 6,000 naira. Good. But now she says if you buy more than 10 yards you get 20% off. So what do you pay now? Victor watched as Sophia worked through the problem, Faith patiently guiding her through the percentage calculation. When Sophia got it right, Faith clapped her hands with such genuine excitement that Sophia laughed. You see, Faith said, mathematics isn't about memorizing formulas. It's about understanding how the world works. Everything is mathematics: buying food, building houses, even cooking. I hate cooking, Sophia muttered. That's because nobody taught you it could be fun. My mother, before she died, she used to let me help in her restaurant. She'd say, Faith, we need to feed 50 people today. Each person eats 2 pieces of meat in their soup. How many pieces do we need? 100, Sophia answered automatically. Exactly. That's mathematics. That's practical. Not just numbers on a page that your expensive tutors make you memorize. Victor felt a pang at the mention of expensive tutors. He'd hired the best, Oxford graduates, people with impressive credentials. But none of them had managed to make Sophia engage with her studies the way this barefoot girl was doing. How did you learn all this? Sophia asked. I mean, if you live on the streets. Victor tensed. So she was homeless. His protective instincts surged again. But Faith answered without shame. I go to the public library in Yaba every day. They have textbooks there, from SS1 all the way to university level. I teach myself. And sometimes I sit outside private schools during lessons and listen through the windows. That's so sad, Sophia said quietly. Is it? Faith shrugged. I think it's smart. Knowledge doesn't belong only to people who can pay for it. It belongs to anyone willing to work for it. The difference between you and me isn't intelligence, Sophia. It's opportunity. You have doors that open easily. I have to climb through windows. But we can both get to the same room. Victor found himself blinking back unexpected emotion. This girl, this homeless teenager, had more wisdom than most adults he knew. I wish I was more like you, Sophia said suddenly. You're so brave and smart. And you don't have anything but you're happy. I have everything and I'm miserable. You're not miserable. You're just lonely. There's a difference. The simple truth of that statement hit Victor like a punch to the gut. His daughter was lonely. Despite the mansion, the cars, the expensive schools and international trips, Sophia was profoundly lonely, and he'd been too busy building his empire to notice. How did you end up here anyway? Sophia asked. In my garden? I was walking past your house yesterday when I saw you crying on the balcony. You looked so sad. Today I came back to see if you were okay and I heard you yelling at your mathematics book. So I thought, maybe I could help. You came back to check on me? But you don't even know me. I know what it's like to feel alone. I wouldn't wish that on anyone, even someone who lives in a mansion. Victor decided it was time to make his presence known. He walked around to the front door, let himself in and called out, Sophia? I'm home. Through the window he saw both girls jump. Sophia's face filled with panic and Faith stood up quickly, clearly preparing to run. But something in Victor had shifted. He didn't want this girl to run. He wanted to understand her. Victor walked into Sophia's study room to find his daughter standing protectively in front of Faith, as if shielding her from whatever punishment she expected. Dad, I can explain. You have a guest, Victor said calmly. Aren't you going to introduce us? Sophia blinked, surprised by his tone. This is Faith. She was just helping me with mathematics. Victor looked at Faith, who met his gaze with surprising steadiness. There was no cowering, no excessive deference. Just a quiet dignity that commanded respect. Faith, Victor said. I'm Victor Ademola, Sophia's father. I know who you are, sir, Faith replied. Everyone in Lagos knows who you are. I'm sorry for trespassing. I'll leave now. Wait. Victor held up a hand. How old are you? 16, sir. And you've been teaching my daughter mathematics? I was trying to help, sir. I didn't mean any harm. Sophia was struggling and I thought. I'm not angry, Victor interrupted. I'm curious, where did you learn to teach like that? Faith looked confused by the question. Sir? I've hired 5 different tutors for Sophia in the past year. All of them highly qualified, all of them expensive. None of them managed to make her smile or engage with her work. Yet in 20 minutes you've accomplished what they couldn't. How? Faith glanced at Sophia, then back at Victor. I don't teach like it's a job, sir. I teach like it's a gift, because it is. Education is the only thing that can change a person's life, especially someone like me. So when I share it with love, I suppose. The word love hung in the air. Victor thought about all the things he'd given Sophia, material things, expensive things, but when was the last time he'd given her something with love instead of guilt or obligation? Sophia, Victor said, would you mind giving Faith and me a moment to talk? Alone. Sophia looked like she wanted to protest, but something in her father's expression made her nod. Don't be mean to her, Dad. Please. I won't be. I promise. After Sophia left, closing the door behind her, Victor gestured for Faith to sit back down. He took the chair opposite her, noting how she perched on the edge as if ready to flee at any moment. Tell me your story, Victor said simply. And please be honest, I want to understand. Faith took a deep breath and the story came out in fits and starts. Her name was Faith Okonkwo. She'd grown up in Ajigunle, one of Lagos's most notorious slums. Her mother had run a small food stall, barely making enough to feed Faith and her 3 younger siblings. Her father had died when she was 8, swept away in flooding during the rainy season. Faith had been brilliant in school, top of her class, with dreams of becoming an engineer. But when her mother got sick 3 years ago with kidney disease, everything fell apart. The medical bills consumed what little they had. Her mother died 6 months later, and with no other family willing to take in 4 children, they'd been scattered. Her siblings had been taken in by different relatives, grudgingly, conditionally. But Faith, being the oldest, was considered old enough to fend for herself. At 13, she'd found herself on the streets. I tried to stay in school, Faith said quietly. But when you're homeless, everything becomes impossible. You can't focus on lessons when you don't know where you'll sleep that night. You can't do homework when you're worried about being attacked or robbed. Eventually I stopped going. But I never stopped learning. The library, Victor said, remembering what he'd overheard. Yes, sir. The public library became my school. I'd spend whole days there reading everything I could. Mathematics, science, literature, history. The security guards knew me. They'd let me stay even after closing sometimes as long as I was quiet. Where do you sleep? Faith hesitated. Different places, sir. Sometimes at the beach in Lekki. Sometimes in doorways of closed shops. Sometimes, well, it depends on the night. And you're 16 years old. Yes, sir. Victor felt rage building inside him, not at Faith but at a world that could allow this to happen. A brilliant child, abandoned by every system that should have protected her. Why did you come here? Victor asked. To my house specifically? I walk through this neighborhood sometimes, Faith admitted. I know I don't belong here, but it's safe and quiet, and I like to imagine what it would be like to live in one of these houses. Yesterday I saw Sophia on her balcony, and she was crying like her heart was broken. I recognized that kind of crying, sir. That's not, I didn't get the designer bag I wanted, crying. That's, I'm truly hurting crying. And you came back to check on her. I couldn't stop thinking about her. I know it's strange, she has everything and I have nothing. But pain is pain, sir. It doesn't care if you're rich or poor. Victor stood up and walked to the window, looking out at his perfectly manicured garden, his luxury cars in the driveway, the high walls topped with security features that kept people out. People like Faith. What would you do? He asked suddenly, turning back to face her. If you could do anything. If money wasn't an issue. What would you want? Faith's laugh was bitter. Sir, that's a cruel question for someone like me. I'm serious. Answer it. Faith was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice trembled with suppressed emotion. I'd go back to school. Finish my education. Become an engineer like I always dreamed. I'd find my siblings and make sure they were okay. I'd build something, a bridge or a building or a water system, something that would help people. Something that would last after I'm gone. Something that would make my mother proud. Victor made a decision. It was impulsive, potentially foolish, and completely outside his usual calculated approach to life. But something about this girl, her dignity, her wisdom, her refusal to be defeated despite everything, called to something deep inside him. How would you like to do all of that? Victor asked. Faith looked at him confused. Sir? How would you like to go back to school, get your education, become an engineer? I don't understand. I'm offering to help you. Full scholarship to the best school in Lagos. Room and board. Everything you need. Faith's eyes widened. Sir, I can't accept charity. It's not charity. It's an investment. You spent 20 minutes with my daughter and accomplished more than 5 expensive tutors. I'm a businessman, Faith. I recognize value when I see it. You have something money can't buy, the ability to connect with people, to make them want to learn. That's rare. That's valuable. What would you want in return? Help my daughter. Not as a tutor, I have plenty of those. But as a friend, a mentor, someone who understands what really matters in life. Sophia has everything except what she needs most. Perspective, purpose, genuine connection. You can give her that. Faith shook her head slowly. Mr. Ademola, this doesn't make sense. You don't know me. For all you know, I could be lying about everything. I could rob you, I could. Could you? What? Could you rob me? Could you hurt my daughter? Is that who you are? No, sir. Never. But then we have no problem. I'm good at reading people, Faith. It's how I've built my businesses. And I'm reading you as someone who deserves a chance that life hasn't given her. So I'm giving it to you. The question is, are you brave enough to take it? News of Victor Ademola taking in a homeless girl spread through Lagos high society like wildfire. The reactions ranged from admiration to suspicion to outright condemnation. He's having a midlife crisis, people whispered at country club lunches. It's a publicity stunt for his hotels, others speculated. Mark my words, the cynics said, this will end badly. You can't just pluck someone from the streets and expect them to adjust to this life. Victor ignored them all. He'd stopped caring about public opinion years ago, around the same time his marriage had fallen apart. Success had taught him that people would always talk, and their opinions rarely mattered. What mattered was what he saw happening in his own home. Faith had been resistant at first to accepting help. She'd insisted on sleeping in the servants' quarters, refused expensive clothes, ate sparingly as if afraid to take too much. It took weeks for her to understand that Victor's offer wasn't temporary, wasn't conditional, wasn't going to be snatched away the moment she relaxed. Sophia had been the key to breaking through Faith's walls. The two girls formed an unlikely friendship that baffled everyone except those who watched them closely. Sophia, who'd been spoiled and sullen for months, suddenly had purpose. She helped Faith adjust to her new life, sharing clothes, much to Faith's discomfort, teaching her how to navigate the unspoken rules of wealthy Lagos society, and in return, learning from Faith about resilience, gratitude, and what truly mattered. "She's teaching me more than I'm teaching her," Sophia told her father one evening 3 months into the arrangement. They were sitting in Victor's study, something they did now regularly, having rebuilt the communication that had fractured after the divorce. "How so?" Victor asked. "She makes me think about things differently. Like I was complaining yesterday about my iPhone being the older model, and Faith just looked at me. She didn't say anything, but I felt so stupid. She lived on the streets for 3 years, Dad. She went days without food. And I'm upset about a phone that works perfectly fine just because there's a newer version. That's called perspective. It's more than that. It's like, Faith sees possibilities where I only see problems. She's excited about school, actually excited. I've been treating education like a punishment, like something adults force on me. But Faith? She studies like it's a gift. Because to her, it is." Victor smiled. "She's good for you. She's good for both of us," Sophia said quietly. "You're different too, Dad. Happier. Less stressed." "Am I?" "Yeah. You actually come home for dinner now. You ask about my day and listen to the answers. You're present. Like you used to be before you and Mom split." The observation startled Victor because it was true. Helping Faith, watching her transformation, seeing his daughter engage with life again, it had reawakened something in him that he'd thought was dead. A sense of purpose beyond profit margins and quarterly reports. But not everyone was happy about the changes. Catherine Ademola, now Catherine Bradford, having remarried, returned to Lagos 3 months after Faith moved into Victor's house. She came ostensibly to spend time with Sophia, but within hours of arriving she demanded a private meeting with Victor. "Have you lost your mind?" Catherine hissed the moment they were alone in Victor's study. She was as beautiful as ever, expensively maintained, designer-dressed, every hair in place. But her eyes were cold. "Hello to you too, Catherine," Victor said calmly. "Don't play games with me, Victor. You've moved a street child into your house? Into Sophia's space? Are you trying to ruin our daughter?" "I'm trying to save her. Something you'd understand if you spent more than a few weeks a year actually parenting her." Catherine's face flushed with anger. "How dare you? I'm building a new life. In London with your new husband while our daughter falls apart here. But let's not rehash old arguments. Why are you really here, Catherine?" "I'm here because I heard about this situation. Victor, you can't just adopt random people off the streets. Do you have any idea who this girl really is? What her background is? What diseases she might carry? What her real intentions might be? Her name is Faith. She's 16 years old. She's brilliant, kind, and has shown more genuine care for Sophia in 3 months than you have in the past year. And yes, I know exactly who she is. I had her fully vetted before I made the offer." "Vetted? You had a background check done on a homeless teenager? Do you hear how insane that sounds?" "What sounds insane is abandoning your daughter to chase a younger man to Europe while she's struggling here." Catherine stood up, her face tight with rage. "I didn't come here to be judged by you. I came here to warn you. This girl, Faith or whatever her name is, she's using you. Can't you see that? She's probably spent years on the streets learning how to manipulate wealthy men. She saw an opportunity and she took it. You're wrong." "Am I?" "Victor, think about it. She somehow ends up in your garden, coincidentally when Sophia is alone and vulnerable. She positions herself as a savior, as someone who understands our daughter, and you, playing the noble hero, fall for it completely? It's textbook manipulation." "Or," Victor said quietly, "it's exactly what it appears to be. A compassionate young woman who saw someone in pain and tried to help. I know that's hard for you to understand, Catherine. Compassion without an angle. Kindness without expecting something in return. You've spent so long in a world where everyone wants something that you can't recognize genuine goodness anymore. Don't you dare condescend to me. I'm thinking about Sophia's safety. Sophia is safer and happier now than she's been in over a year. She's engaged with school again. She's making better choices. She's even started seeing her therapist willingly instead of treating it like a punishment. All of that started when Faith came into her life." Catherine shook her head. "You're being played and you're too arrogant to see it. But mark my words, Victor, this will end badly. And when it does, when this girl shows her true colors, don't say I didn't warn you." She left in a storm of expensive perfume and righteous indignation. Victor sat alone in his study afterward, troubled despite his confident defense of Faith. Was Catherine right? Had he been manipulated? Was his judgment clouded by loneliness and guilt over his fractured relationship with Sophia? The doubts gnawed at him for days. 2 weeks after Catherine's visit, Victor's worst fears seemed to be confirmed. $20,000 in cash, money he'd kept in his home safe for emergency business purposes, went missing. The discovery came when Victor needed to pay a contractor who preferred cash transactions. He opened the safe to find it empty except for documents and jewelry. The money was gone. Victor's heart sank. Only 3 people knew the combination to that safe. Himself, his head of security Thomas, and, because he'd wanted to teach her about financial responsibility, Faith. He'd shown Faith the safe a month ago, explaining how he kept emergency cash, how to access it if something happened to him and Sophia needed it. He'd trusted her with the combination. And now the money was gone. Thomas, his head of security, was blunt. "Sir, I have to say it. The homeless girl is the obvious suspect. She's the only new variable in the house." "Faith wouldn't steal from me," Victor said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Sir, with respect, you don't really know her. 3 months isn't long enough to truly know someone, especially someone who survived on the streets for 3 years. Survival does things to people. Changes them. Makes them opportunistic." Victor wanted to argue, but the logic was sound. Faith had motive, more money than she'd seen in her entire life. She had opportunity, access to the safe. And she had means. She knew the combination. But could she really have betrayed his trust so completely? Victor called Faith into his study that evening. She came willingly, smiling, carrying a mathematics textbook she'd been studying. The smile died when she saw his expression. "Faith, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." "Of course, sir. Always." $20,000 is missing from my safe. Money that was there last week. Do you know anything about it?" Faith's face went pale. "Sir, no. I haven't touched your safe since you showed it to me. I would never." "You're the only other person besides Thomas who knows the combination. I know how it looks, but sir, I swear to you I didn't take your money. I would never betray you like that. Never." Victor wanted to believe her. God, he wanted to believe her. But the evidence was damning, and Catherine's warnings echoed in his mind. "Faith, if you took the money, maybe you had a good reason, maybe you needed it for something important. Just tell me. We can work through this. But I need the truth. The truth is I didn't take it." Faith's voice rose, panic setting in. "Mr. Ademola, you've given me everything. Why would I throw it away for money? That doesn't make any sense. People do desperate things. I'm not desperate anymore. You saved me from desperation. I have food, shelter, education, everything I ever dreamed of. Why would I risk losing all of that?" Was a good point. But Victor had learned in business that people weren't always logical, especially when large sums of money were involved. "I want to believe you," Victor said quietly, "but I need to be sure. I'm going to have to restrict your access to certain parts of the house until we figure out what happened to the money." Faith's eyes filled with tears. "You don't believe me? I don't know what to believe. After everything, after 3 months of me proving myself, you still see me as just a street girl who can't be trusted. That's what this is really about, isn't it? Not the money. The fact that deep down, you never really believed I belonged here. That's not fair. Isn't it?" Faith stood up, her voice breaking. "Your ex-wife comes here and poisons your mind against me, and the first time something goes wrong, you assume I'm the thief. I'm guilty until proven innocent because of where I came from." Faith. But she was already heading for the door. "I'll pack my things. Clearly, I've overstayed my welcome." "Stop. You don't have to leave." "Yes, I do. I can't stay somewhere I'm not trusted. I've had enough of that in my life. I thought this was different. I thought you were different. But rich people are all the same. We're just entertainment or charity projects until we become inconvenient." She left before Victor could respond. He heard her footsteps on the stairs, heard her door slam. And for the first time since he'd brought Faith into his home, Victor wondered if he'd made a terrible mistake. Sophia had been listening from the hallway. She'd heard the entire conversation and she was furious. She burst into her father's study. "How could you? Sophia, this is between Faith and me. She didn't take your money, Dad. I know her. She would never do that. You want to believe that because you care about her. But we have to face facts." "Facts?" "The fact is you're so used to people disappointing you that you're looking for reasons not to trust Faith. The fact is Mom came here and put doubts in your head and you let her. The fact is you're about to throw away the best thing that's happened to this family because you're scared." "Scared?" "Sophia, I'm trying to be responsible. You're trying to protect yourself. You're afraid to fully let Faith in because that means being vulnerable. It means admitting you were wrong about things, about what matters, about what makes people valuable." Faith doesn't fit in your world of contracts and background checks and calculated risks. She's messy and real and genuine, and that terrifies you. Victor stared at his daughter, shocked by her insight. When had Sophia become so perceptive? If you let her leave, Sophia continued, if you don't fight for her, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. And so will I. Faith is the best friend I've ever had. She sees me, the real me, not the daughter of Victor Ademola, not the girl with the designer clothes and the perfect life. Just me. And she likes me anyway. Do you know how rare that is? Sophia. I'm going to prove she didn't take the money. And while I'm doing that, you need to think about who you want to be, Dad. The man who sees the best in people? Or the man who lets fear make him cruel? Sophia stormed out, leaving Victor alone with his thoughts. She was right. He knew she was right. He'd let Catherine's poison infect his thinking, had fallen back on old patterns of suspicion and self-protection. But the money was still missing. And until they knew where it had gone, the doubt would remain. Sophia began her investigation immediately. She interrogated the house staff, checked security footage, and methodically worked through every possibility. 3 days later, she found the answer. Dad, you need to come see this. Now. Victor followed Sophia to her mother's old bedroom, a guest room now kept pristine and rarely used. Sophia led him to the closet and pointed to a Louis Vuitton handbag hanging on a hook. Open it, Sophia said. Inside the bag, wrapped in a Hermes scarf, was $20,000 in cash. Victor stared at the money, comprehension slowly dawning. Your mother. She was here 2 weeks ago. She had access to the house. And she knew about the safe. She lived here for 10 years, Dad. She probably knew the combination or figured it out. But why? She has money. She married wealthy. It's not about needing the money. It's about proving she was right. About Faith. About you being foolish. She wanted to create a situation where Faith would be blamed, where you'd send her away, where Mom could say, I told you so. Victor sank onto the bed, rage and shame warring inside him. I accused Faith. I doubted her. After everything, I doubted her. Yes, you did. And now you need to fix it. Victor found Faith in the small room she'd been using, not packing as she'd threatened, but sitting on the floor surrounded by her old street clothes. She was holding them like relics, reminding herself of where she'd come from. Faith. She looked up, her eyes red from crying but her expression defiant. I didn't take your money. I know. Sophia found it. In Catherine's handbag. My ex-wife planted it there to frame you. Faith's mouth fell open. What? Why would she? Because she was trying to prove a point. That I was foolish to trust you. That you didn't belong here. Victor sat on the floor beside her, expensive suit and all. And I almost let her succeed. Faith, I'm so sorry. You deserved my trust and I failed you. You believed I stole from you. For about 3 days, yes. And those were 3 of the worst days I've had in a long time. Because deep down, I knew you wouldn't betray me. But I let fear and old patterns of thinking cloud my judgment. Your ex-wife tried to destroy my life. She did. And I'm going to make sure she faces consequences for that. But right now, I need you to know something. Victor took a breath. In the past 3 months, you've changed my life. You saved my relationship with my daughter. You reminded me what actually matters. You showed me that kindness and intelligence aren't limited by circumstances. You are one of the most remarkable people I've ever met, Faith Okonkwo. And I almost lost you because I was too scared to fully believe in you. Tears rolled down Faith's cheeks. I thought you were different. I thought you saw me as more than just a charity case. You were never a charity case. You were an investment in the future. Yours, Sophia's, mine. And I promise you, I will never doubt you like that again. How can you promise that? Because I'm going to prove it. I'm going to give you something that can't be taken away by accusations or doubt. Victor pulled out a folder he'd been carrying. These are adoption papers. If you're willing, I'd like to make you my daughter. Legally. Officially. Not as a favor or charity, but because I can't imagine my family without you in it. Faith stared at the papers, then at Victor, then back at the papers. You want to adopt me? Sophia and I talked about it. She's the one who suggested it, actually. She said, and I quote, Faith is already my sister. We should make it official. But I'm 16. Almost 17. People don't adopt teenagers. I do. If you'll let me. Faith threw her arms around Victor and sobbed, great, heaving sobs that seemed to release years of pain and loneliness and fear. Victor held her, this brave, brilliant girl who'd survived so much, and felt his own tears fall. Is that a yes? He asked when she finally pulled back. Faith nodded, unable to speak. Good. Because you're stuck with us now. 2 stubborn Ademolas instead of 1. Are you sure you want to sign up for that? Faith laughed through her tears. Yes, I'm sure. Victor confronted Catherine at her hotel the next day. She answered the door in a silk robe, coffee in hand, looking completely unconcerned. Victor, this is unexpected. We found the money, Catherine. In your handbag. For just a moment, Catherine's mask slipped. Then she recovered, shrugging. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie. Not anymore. You stole money from my safe and tried to frame Faith. The question is why? Because you needed to see the truth. That girl is using you. That girl is becoming my daughter. I'm adopting her. Catherine's coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. You're what? Adopting her. Making her an Ademola. Which means if you ever try to hurt her again, you'll be hurting my child. And I will not tolerate that. Victor, you can't be serious. You're going to adopt a homeless girl? Do you have any idea what that will do to your reputation? To Sophia's standing in society? I don't care about any of that. And neither does Sophia. We care about Faith. She's family now. You're making a mistake. No. The mistake was staying married to you as long as I did. The mistake was letting you make me believe that success meant never taking risks on people. The mistake was thinking reputation mattered more than character. Victor moved toward the door. Stay away from my family, Catherine. All of my family. Or I will make sure everyone in Lagos society knows exactly what you did. You wouldn't dare. Try me. You've always underestimated how far I'll go to protect the people I love. Don't make that mistake again. The adoption was finalized on a Tuesday morning in Lagos. Faith Okonkwo officially became Faith Ademola, with all the rights and privileges that came with being Victor Ademola's daughter. But the real celebration came later at the public library in Yaba, the same library where Faith had educated herself during her years on the streets. Victor had spent 6 months and a considerable amount of money renovating the library. New books, new computers, new study spaces. And in the center of the main room, a plaque. The Faith Ademola Learning Center, where every child, regardless of circumstance, has the right to learn. Faith stood in front of the plaque, tears streaming down her face, as the librarians who'd helped her over the years applauded. Victor had invited them all, had made sure they knew the role they'd played in saving Faith's life. You did this? Faith whispered to Victor. You taught me that education is the only thing that can change lives. So let's change some lives. The ceremony was attended by dozens of people. Street children Faith had befriended during her homeless years, students from Sophia's school, business associates of Victor's who'd been moved by Faith's story. Even some of Victor's society friends had come, curious to see what all the fuss was about. But the most important moment came when Faith gave her speech. When I lived on the streets, Faith said, her voice carrying through the renovated library, I thought I was invisible. People looked through me, not at me. I was just another homeless child in a city full of problems. But 3 people changed that. She gestured to the librarians. These women saw me. They let me stay past closing. They recommended books. They treated me like a student, not a burden. They saved my life by giving me knowledge. Then she looked at Sophia. My sister saw me crying and didn't look away. She became my friend when she had no reason to. She taught me that privilege doesn't have to make you blind, it can make you kind instead. Finally, she turned to Victor. And my father, because that's what he is now, my father, he saw me and chose to believe in me. Not because he had to, not because it was easy, but because he decided that potential matters more than circumstance. He taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about choice. Victor felt tears running down his face and didn't bother to hide them. This library saved me, Faith continued. It gave me hope when I had nothing else. And now, thanks to my father, it will save others. Every child who walks through these doors will have the same chance I had. The same access to knowledge, to possibilities, to dreams. She paused, composing herself. We're also launching a scholarship program. The Ademola Foundation will provide full scholarships, school fees, books, uniforms, everything, to 50 homeless children every year. Because I was one of the lucky ones. I was found. But there are thousands more still invisible, still waiting for someone to see them. The applause was thunderous. But Victor was watching Sophia, who was crying openly as she applauded her sister. After the ceremony, as people mingled and celebrated, Victor found himself alone with his daughters, both of them on the library steps. I'm proud of you, he told them. Both of you. You've taught me more in the past year than I learned in 20 years of business. What did we teach you? Sophia asked. That success without purpose is just accumulation. That reputation means nothing if you're not living according to your values. That the best investments aren't in companies or properties, they're in people. Faith leaned her head on Victor's shoulder. Thank you for seeing me. For believing I was worth the risk. You were never a risk. You were a certainty. I just had to be brave enough to recognize it. They sat together as the sun set over Lagos. This family built not from blood but from choice, not from obligation but from love. Inside the library, children were already exploring the new books, sitting at new computers, dreaming new dreams in the space that Faith's courage and Victor's compassion had created. And somewhere in the city, another homeless child would see the signs for the Ademola Foundation scholarships and dare to hope that perhaps they too could be seen. That perhaps they too could be saved. That perhaps education, kindness, and one person choosing to care could change everything. Faith Ademola stood on the campus of the University of Lagos, exactly where her journey had once been derailed. But this time she wasn't sneaking in to listen through windows. She was enrolled as a student, studying civil engineering with a full scholarship from her father's foundation. She was 19 now, confident and purposeful in a way that still sometimes surprised her. The frightened girl who'd begged on streets felt like a distant memory, not forgotten, but transformed into something stronger. Faith. Sophia called from across the quad. She was 17 now, also a university student, studying business administration so she could one day help run the foundation that bore their family name. They walked together to the library, a different library, but the symbolism wasn't lost on either of them. Libraries had saved Faith's life twice. First in Yaba when she had nothing, and now here at Unilag where she had everything. Dad wants us home for dinner, Sophia said. He's cooking. We should probably order backup food. Faith laughed. Victor's attempts at cooking were legendary in their family for all the wrong reasons. But the fact that he tried, that he made time for family dinners, for being present, that was what mattered. How many kids got scholarships this year? Faith asked as they walked. 75. We increased the number. Dad said if we could afford it, why not do more? The Ademola Foundation had grown beyond even Victor's ambitious plans. What had started as a way to honor Faith's journey had become one of Lagos's most respected charitable organizations. They'd helped hundreds of homeless children, providing not just scholarships but comprehensive support, housing, healthcare, counseling, everything needed to break the cycle of poverty. And Faith was at the center of it all, the living proof that one act of compassion could change not just one life but hundreds. Do you ever think about how different things could have been? Sophia asked suddenly. If you hadn't climbed into our garden that day? If Dad had just chased you away? All the time, Faith admitted. I think about the girl I was, scared, hungry, convinced she was invisible. And then I look at who I am now and it feels like a dream. It's not a dream. It's what happens when people choose to see each other. Really see each other. They reached the library, but before going in, Faith stopped and looked at her sister. Thank you. For what? For being the first person to really see me. Not my circumstances, not my problems, but me. You changed my life before Dad even got involved. Sophia hugged her. You changed mine too. I was drowning in privilege and misery, and you showed me how to swim. Inside the library, students studied and dreamed and worked toward futures that might have seemed impossible a few years ago. Just like Faith once did. Just like thousands of children still did in libraries across Lagos. And somewhere in the city, another Victor Ademola was pulling into his driveway, stopping because he heard unexpected laughter, and choosing to investigate instead of dismiss. Another Faith was climbing into a garden, not to steal but to help. Another Sophia was discovering that the best lessons come from the most unexpected teachers. Because that's how change happens. Not through grand gestures or government programs, but through individual humans choosing to see each other, to connect across divides, to believe that everyone, regardless of where they start, deserves a chance to become who they're meant to be. Faith walked into the library, her sister beside her, and got to work on her engineering homework. She was designing a water system for informal settlements, the kind of places where she'd once lived. The kind of places that still needed engineers who understood that infrastructure wasn't just about pipes and pumps, but about dignity and hope. She would build that water system. And then she'd build more. Bridges and buildings and systems that would help people for generations. Just like she'd always dreamed. Just like her mother would have wanted. Just like she'd promised herself during those dark years when she'd been invisible. She was visible now. She was seen. She was valued. And she was going to make sure that every other invisible child got the same chance. One act of kindness at a time. One student at a time. One life at a time. Until everyone was seen.